Justin, should we be getting the bunting out now about the prospects of the UK growth. Economy?
It's growth, may not be much, but it's something. And particularly, like a lot of us were saying, look, we may already be in a recession. Well, we're not. But also, don't get worked up over the fact of a recession. It's a cycle. This is what happens. We delayed the last one because of the banking crisis. So actually, we need to be in a position where the economy slows down and then picks up again, and we start going into growth mode. Now is the time I'd want to see the government actually planning for growth. Remember some of those comments that our late lamented Prime Minister for only a few days, the concept of growth is absolutely right. The way she was going about it was absolutely wrong. That's where we now give ourselves a bit more confidence. There is some growth, OK, from the World Cup. It's tiny. This is just a rounding error.
So, I mean, half of me thinks that, you know, we've got big problems to come. We've got tax rises coming, which will presumably slow down the economy and all the rest of it. Maybe even more interest rate rises, I don't know, in the near future. But that's on one side. But on the other side, it seems that energy prices are coming down. I was reading about that in the papers today. Inflation is due to come down. Oil prices are coming down. So is it possible that because of those things, the things might not be as bad as we originally feared?
I just add one more as well. The Bank of England actually made a nice little pile out of buying all those gilts.
Exactly.
Funny, an extra billion coming in here, billion here, billion there. You might have some money after it all. No, what you were seeing is actually, I think this is quite predictable, is this slowdown. It's a global issue, apart from anything else. There's no obvious sign you're going to be heading for a depression. But what this does do is gives a little bit more confidence. And that's the magic word in any economy. Get some confidence to say, we're not doomed. Damaged, but not doomed. And also focus on those areas where we are good at and we can see growth. You mentioned technology is one of the areas that have been influencing those growth figures. Quite right too, because we're still setting up small tech businesses, and this is not based in South East. This is all over the country. Some great examples we've seen up in Sheffield, and these are the businesses of the future, as long as we don't actually sell them all off.
And I think that confidence thing is key, and us not talking ourselves down, because reading the papers, you'll get some areas which there's growth, but it all seemed very sort of sensitive, the changes and the fluctuations. I did smile that pharmaceuticals weren't doing so well. I thought it must have been a bumper 2 years before and slightly not doing so well now. And I think, how do we talk up the country? How do we talk up what we're doing? And not, because every day it's like misery on the news.
There's some key elements, and I've always been annoyed, right, when we go back to the Cameron years. They would tell us what they were doing, but didn't measure it to say, look how much progress we've made. Because actually, during the austerity, and that was a bad word to use in the first place, but actually they made a huge difference in terms of actually the amount of the deficit. We actually ended up, if you take out the interest, positive at the end of it. But you wouldn't have heard that actually coming from any of the figures or any of the politicians at that stage. Give people some measurements, and which you know are going to be achievable. And Rich, you started doing some of that last week. And then you can turn around and say, look, we've done that bit. Maybe small, we've done that. So inflation is coming down. We can see that actually from the futures figures. So the fuel figures, again, generally positive as well. So, yes, focus more on that, and then focus on the areas where Britain is actually good at, and this is the technology. Tell people how many companies we're setting up, where they're being set up, how many people are being employed in this, and then not just employed, but the effect on other areas. So actually, technology companies in Sheffield have much more impact than, say, in central London, because it'll have a broader effect.
And it encourages us all, that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, now that the Prime Minister seems to have stabilised things, has he got scope now to cut taxes to try and really get the economy going? Or would we go back again to what happened when Liz Truss was Prime Minister?
He has got scope to cut taxes, and he's got more to the point also to actually come up with incentives for taxation, which doesn't actually cost the government anything. We have the Enterprise Investment Scheme, but it's quite small. You can actually make that into regional investment schemes. Encourage more money to be invested, not just in terms of private individuals, but also the pension companies and things like that. And also look at the individual pension regimes to be able to invest in the regions, in those companies which they know. They know the people running it, they know the company.
And I think maybe the free ports was the start of this. Very visible. Yep. You can see it. I'm going around the country, and this could bring investment in and give a boost to manufacturing. Yeah,
that's what you want to do. And bear in mind, we're still a significant manufacturer. When people sit there and say, we don't make anything anymore, actually, we're probably the 9th largest manufacturer in the world.
See, most people wouldn't know that because we always were talking down. I tell you, you know, you're a breath of fresh air. You've certainly put wind in my sails. You've made me feel a lot better. Look, things are much better than we should be. We're being led to believe.